Welcome back to this 4th of July edition of America's Voice Live. Thank you for spending a bit of your Independence Day with all of us here at Real America's Voice. We wanted to focus this segment on America's veterans, those men and women that have fought for us, defended us. It seems like their own government has abandoned them far too often in far too many instances. Did you ever think you'd live in a world where illegal aliens, some of whom actually despise this country, are treated better, given more than American citizens who have fought for and been injured for in protecting us? Strange, isn't it? Here now to talk to me about that is a former U.S. Marine herself, veteran advocate Kate Monroe. Kate, nice to have you here, and thank you for the time you served on watch.
Thank you for having me.
Greatly appreciate it. Let's talk about this. I mean, you look at people coming across the border, $5,000 gift cards, some places better, plane tickets to anywhere. I mean, hotel rooms, 3 squares a day, while we have veterans that are on the streets, homeless today as we speak. Doesn't make any sense to me. What do you say about it?
Well, it's disgusting, quite frankly. 15 homeless veterans die on our street every single day. The ones here in San Diego, nobody even claims them. So typically they get cremated and basically thrown in the trash. It's absolutely despicable. As somebody who's gone down to actually secure the border on behalf of veterans, I can tell you that the veteran community feels left behind and taken advantage of. And quite frankly, they're exhausted by having served and having to continue to fight the VA for every single nickel.
When you say fight the VA, has it gotten better? Is it worse? Has it been the same for a while? How would you compare what's happening today to 5 years ago or 25 years ago?
Well, 25 years ago, they had a rough time. A lot of work needed to get done. But I think under the Trump administration with the community care, they definitely unfurled a lot of the backlog that they had in the VA. And I think people were, for the first time, having continuity of care. And they were kind of excited about the trajectory of where their relationship was with the VA. But since the Biden administration has taken over, you've seen the setback with community care and with continuity of care. And, you've seen migrants getting seen in VA hospitals. You see the VA HUD-VASH program that's supposed to house homeless veterans take a huge back seat. We had a 19% rise in veteran homelessness under this administration. So I think the dichotomy between the two is staggering.
19% rise in homeless veterans just since Joe Biden took office. Is that what you just told me?
Correct. It was actually on its way down by 12% per year, and now it has risen 19%. It's very ugly. If you say today we have 15 a day dying, well, when you add 19%, month over month, over the course of the year, that becomes a much larger number.
Well, let me ask you this, Kate. This is the important part of this. What changed? How did it go up 19%? Why did it change? Why has it been so much rougher for veterans under this administration?
Well, I think right when this administration took over, they don't like a lot of money going into VA healthcare, into VA compensation. So they made a concerted effort to put roadblocks in a minefield ahead of veterans, if you will, while they simultaneously opened our border. And in order to open our border and succeed in Democrat supremacy, they had to advertise to get people to come here from other countries with all the gift cards and the housing and all of these things. So I think that this administration just chose Democrat supremacy over our nation's veterans, quite frankly.
So as we're on our way to spending $200 billion in Ukraine, and who knows what else, where else across this globe, but that's one thing I can focus on, $200 billion to Ukraine, where we're paying pensions and so forth. Our military is being left behind. Our veterans are being left behind. There have got to be things we can do to change what's happening. We have to change the trajectory, don't we?
We do. We have to vote differently. Come November, we always say, vote, 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 vote. But people get a little bit tired of the voting. They don't see anything change. And you see a lot of people, shy away from, certainly here in California, voting. But I think if you're looking at $200 billion to Ukraine while we're about to fight 3 world wars in the middle of a recruiting crisis, while we're thinking of drafting our nation's young women, it's time for America to look around and stop thinking with your emotions, and let's get back to our senses and vote sensibly and fiscally responsibly and just get back to some common sense here in our country.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. So what was Donald Trump doing that's not happening now that was working so well?
Well, he was doing the opposite. He was doing 2 things. One, he was making an effort toward helping veterans, taking a stand for veterans and their families, getting them the community care that they need, because there's not enough VA healthcare hospitals to take on all of the weight and burden of all of the nation's veterans. So community care was a very good thing. He also was very good for recruiting. We didn't have any wars. He was doing the Remain in Mexico, building a wall. So he was doing two great things at one time to ensure prosperity for our nation's veterans while ensuring the safety of our nation. And that has been completely undone by this administration.
Yeah, it's deeply disappointing. Again, I see all of this money being spent in Ukraine, and there's a lot of other places, but that's the easiest thing to point to and say, look, we've spent billions, tens of billions of dollars. Oh, and by the way, we just signed a 10-year deal for Ukraine. So we're going to do this for 10 more years. No end in sight. What if there was a 10-year deal to look after veterans, to get them back on their feet, off the streets, in a better place? Wouldn't a 10-year deal for veterans be a better use of our resources?
I think in less than 2 years, if we built a bunch of base camps, we could get every one of the 35,000 homeless veterans off the street, very, very easily. And they would be like a beacon for all other homeless. I think we could just put community care back in action. But to speak to the $200 billion to Ukraine and then the never-ending, 10-year program that we're just signing up for, you got to wonder, with no drawdown schedule, no what does a win look like there, no auditing of the books for the money, you got to think, I feel like the money's a little bit of a boomerang. I feel like it's going to Ukraine and somehow ending up back here to our lawmakers or our military industrial complex. Someone's winning, and it's not just Ukraine.
Yeah, 35,000 homeless vets. 15 die a day in this country on the streets somewhere. And Kate, we're just doing a disservice, not just to our vets, but to our country. It says a lot about our country when we don't take care of our vets. It says a lot about any country, how you take care of your veterans, those that served in the front lines to protect you, to do what you ask when your country called. I'll give you the last word.
Well, the last word is this. If you're a veteran or a veteran family watching this now, there is some good news for you. If you're not collecting your VA disability compensation, VetComm has helped put $924 million in lifetime income, I'm the CEO of VetComm, into veterans' pockets. And it typically takes less than 90 days to get up to $3,600 a month. So while there are a lot of issues with the VA and a lot of issues in our country and with the border, that's in a totally separate bucket from you getting what you are owed. Not necessarily, you don't have to feel like you deserve it, but let's get you what you're owed. Let's make a march on Washington through the VA, steal back some of these funds so they can't send them all to Ukraine.
There you go. Kate Monroe, I appreciate you being here. Happy 4th of July, and hopefully we'll be on the right track here before much longer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.